I was in my dorm, practicing dance, when a sudden thought interrupted me. That's such a tiny waist. My wife looks so beautiful with that flexibility. We could unlock so many new moves later. My fan slipped from my hand, clattering to the floor, and I froze. I turned, eyes wide, staring at the person in front of me in disbelief. Jake. Calm, focused, completely serious, as if he were actually helping me perfect my moves. I must be imagining things. How could someone as cold as Jake think that? What's wrong? He asked. Oh, nothing. Nothing at all, I replied quickly, forcing a smile. Then keep going. I picked up my fan and tried to continue, but the shock had thrown me off. I lost my balance and toppled forward, landing straight into Jake's arms. Thud. We both hit the ground, me underneath, him on top. One of his hands held my waist, the other cradled the back of my head. This was a very strange position. I scrambled to get up, only to find myself staring into his dark, intense eyes. A voice echoed in my mind again. That was close, thank God. He didn't get hurt. Such a tiny waist, don't want to let go, so pale, so soft. How much longer can I hold back? I screamed, pushing him away and bolting. Help me. Strong arms caught me effortlessly. Where do you think you're going? You think you can run away now? I yelped. Mom. Save me. A few days ago, I'd been begged by our class activities coordinator to sign up for the May Day talent show. I wasn't thrilled about it, but the promise of credits had convinced me. Now, pushing open the dorm door, I found everyone else gone. Only Jake remained. After a quick greeting, I strapped on my waist belt and stepped onto the balcony, moving in front of the mirror. The melody played in my head, spinning me through turns and backbends. My breath came in harsh gasps, my body slick with effort. And then I noticed a tall, thin figure in the mirror behind me, staring. My heart skipped. Jake, when did you get here? I was just getting my clothes. Did I scare you? His voice was crisp, calm, yet it sent a chill down my spine. Oh, no, go ahead, I said, stepping aside to give him space, trying to act casual. But even after he retrieved his clothes, he didn't leave. His gaze lingered on my waist, purposeful and unsettling. What's up, Jake? I asked cautiously. Nothing, he said after a pause, finally averting his eyes. That waist, that belt looks pretty good on you for some reason. I touched my waist and felt a surge of pride. Budget shopping victory. I'd snagged it for $999 on Amazon during a flash sale, and it worked perfectly. Thanks, I said lightly. I can send you the link if you want. You dance pretty well, too, he added, and my eyes lit up. All this time, my friends had teased me about dancing, said the style was too feminine, even kept their distance. But now, someone had actually complimented me. And it felt incredible. My excitement made me speak before I could think. Jake, the May Day show is in a few days. Could you help me check my moves over the next few days? For a moment, the guy leaning casually against the doorframe went quiet. My stomach twisted in regret. If it's inconvenient, I understand. It's convenient, he said finally. Jake was semi-residential, according to our roommate Mike. He was slowly taking over part of his family business, only returning to the dorm occasionally. Between my dance studio sessions and part-time jobs, we hadn't been particularly close, but there was something about him that immediately made me feel at ease. Just having him there made me feel like I'd known him forever. I watched him sit at his desk, head slightly lowered as he scrolled through his phone. I shook my head and smiled to myself. Anyone would feel comfortable around someone with his kind of presence, and those looks didn't hurt either. From that night on, Jake started accompanying me to the practice studio. Jake, how you think I did just now? Were there any moves that looked weird? I asked, glancing at him. He had been silently watching the entire time, and I had no idea what he was thinking. Slowly, he lifted his eyelids, revealing those deep, dark eyes. All the movements looked smooth, he said, his voice calm and even. Before I could respond, the door burst open. A petite girl hurried inside, panting. Hey, Alex. The Campus Arts Committee just announced that solo dance applications can't be submitted anymore. They won't even pass the preliminary review. My heart skipped a beat. Panic surged. What? What do we do now? The girl is Emma, our class activities coordinator. She spread her hands helplessly. I don't know how this happened, but don't give up, Alex. If you find a partner now and practice intensively, it could still work. Who could I even ask? I muttered, anxiety tightening in my chest. This kind of dance was exhausting and time-consuming, Who would be willing to pair up with me at the last minute? Emma looked off toward the horizon as if seeking inspiration, and then her gaze landed softly on me. A warm feeling spread through my chest. Alex, you're so dedicated. Let's start rehearsing today. If we practice intensively over the next few days, we can make it work. I blinked, heart lifted, until Emma suddenly jumped back like a startled cat. Oh, I have a boyfriend. Partner dances involve close contact. He'd get jealous if he saw. I felt the air rush out of me, deflating. Then what about before? The look in her eyes? I glanced up and froze. Jake was standing right in front of me, silent, staring without blinking. A thought flitted through my mind. Forget it. Jake agreeing to come at all was already more than I could hope for. I couldn't possibly ask him to dance with me. That would be pushing it. Jake, let's go. I'll participate this time. It's fine. I can earn credits later, I said softly, starting to pack up my fan. He walked closer, his gaze calm and unwavering, and I felt that familiar flutter in my chest. Did you not think of me at all just now? I asked, almost whispering. Jake's expression didn't change, but something flickered in those dark eyes. You didn't ask. My hands stilled on the fan. I couldn't. You're already doing so much, coming here to watch me practice. I can't ask you to. I'll do it. The words hit me like a physical thing. I looked up sharply, certain I'd misheard. What? I'll be your partner. He said it so matter-of-factly, as if he'd just agreed to pass me the salted dinner. We have a week. That's enough time. Emma's mouth fell open. I felt my own doing the same. Jake, you don't have to. I know you're busy with your family business, and partner dancing is really... Do you want to perform or not? He cut me off, but his tone wasn't harsh. If anything, it was almost gentle. I do, but... Then it settled. He pulled out his phone, already checking his calendar. We'll practice every evening from 6 to 10. I'll clear my schedule. I stood there, frozen, trying to process what had just happened. Jake, quiet, reserved, always busy Jake, had just volunteered to be my dance partner. For a style that most guys wouldn't even watch, let alone perform. Emma recovered first, clapping her hands together. Perfect. Oh, this is going to be amazing. Alex, you're so lucky. She winked at me before rushing toward the door. I'll submit your application as a duo right now. Don't let me down, you two. The door slammed shut, leaving us alone in the sudden silence. Jake. I started, my voice small. Are you sure? People might talk. This style is pretty feminine. He raised an eyebrow. I don't care what people think. That simple statement made something warm bloom in my chest. I'd spent so long being self-conscious about my dancing, about the teasing, about not being masculine enough. But Jake's indifference to others' opinions was like a shield I could hide behind. Thank you, I whispered. He nodded once, then gestured toward the mirror. Show me the routine. I need to know what I'm working with. I set up the music again, my heart pounding for entirely different reasons now. As the melody filled the room, I moved through the choreography, hyper-aware of Jake's gaze tracking every movement. When I finished, slightly breathless, I turned to face him. It's good, he said, standing. But if we're doing this as a duet, we'll need to modify some sections. Partner work, lifts, synchronized movements. You know about dance? I couldn't hide my surprise. A ghost of a smile crossed his lips. My mother owned a dance studio before she passed. I grew up in one. He walked closer, and suddenly the practice room felt much smaller. The question is, are you comfortable with me touching you during the performance? My mind immediately flashed back to earlier, to that voice in my head saying such a tiny waist, don't want to let go. Heat flooded my face. Yes. Of course. It's just dancing, I said, perhaps too quickly. Jake's eyes lingered on me for a moment longer than necessary. Just dancing, he repeated, though something in his tone made it sound like a question. Then let's start. Come here. The next 3 hours were simultaneously the most exhilarating and mortifying of my life. No, like this. Jake's hand settled on my waist, adjusting my position for the third time. Each touch sent electricity racing up my spine. You're too tense. The movement needs to flow. I'm trying, I protested, acutely aware of how close he was standing. It's different when someone's actually touching. Get used to it. His breath was warm against my ear as he demonstrated the proper posture. We'll be much closer than this during the actual performance. I swallowed hard. How was I supposed to concentrate when he smells really good, like citrus and something else? Focus, Jake, you're supposed to be teaching, not. I jerked away so fast I nearly tripped over my own feet. Jake caught me automatically, one hand spanning my lower back, the other gripping my shoulder. Careful, he said, frowning. What's wrong with you today? You keep spacing out. Nothing, I squeaked. I'm fine. Totally fine. This was the fourth time today I'd heard his thoughts. Or what I assumed were his thoughts. Because unless I was having a complete mental breakdown, I could somehow hear Jake's inner voice. And the things he was thinking. Why does he keep running away? Did I do something wrong? Maybe I'm being too forward, but we need to practice the contact. How else can I? Alex. His voice cut through the mental stream. Are you sure you want to do this? If you're uncomfortable. No. I grabbed his arm without thinking. I want to. I really want to. I'm just nervous. About the performance. That's all. It wasn't a complete lie. I was nervous about the performance. Just not for the reasons he thought. Jake studied my face for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Okay, but you need to trust me. Can you do that? Trust him. If only he knew that wasn't the problem. The problem was that I was hearing things I absolutely shouldn't be hearing, things that made my heart race and my palms sweat and my brain short-circuit. I trust you, I said quietly and meant it. Something shifted in his expression, softened, maybe. Good. Then let's try the lift sequence. I'll need to, he hesitated. I'll need to hold your waist. Tightly. Is that okay? I nodded, not trusting my voice. Jake moved behind me, his hands settling firmly on either side of my waist. His fingers nearly met in the middle, and I was suddenly very conscious of how small I was compared to him. How easily he could. Perfect fit, knew it would be, just need to lift on 3. On 3, he said aloud. 1, 2. He lifted me effortlessly, and for a moment I was airborne, suspended in his grip. The world tilted, blurred, and then I was being set down gently, his hands still steadying me. See? Easy. But his voice sounded slightly strained. I turned to look at him, and our faces were suddenly inches apart. His dark eyes were fixed on mine, unblinking, intense. Neither of us moved. Too close, need to step back, but don't want it just a little longer. Jake, I whispered. Thank you for doing this with me. His hands were still on my waist. He seemed to realize it at the same moment I did, and dropped them quickly, stepping back. It's nothing. We should run through the opening sequence again. Right. Yes. Opening sequence. I turned back to the mirror, catching sight of my flushed face. Get it together, Alex. But as we moved through the choreography again, bodies in sync, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted between us. Something that had nothing to do with dancing. And I couldn't stop hearing his thoughts, growing more frequent, more revealing with each passing moment. Beautiful, he's so beautiful. How did I never notice before? By day 4, I was convinced I was losing my mind. The mind reading, if that's what it was, wasn't constant. It came in waves, usually when Jake and I were close, when his attention was focused entirely on me. And the things I heard were becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. Again, Jake instructed, watching me execute a turn sequence. Your arm extension needs more grace at the end. I adjusted and tried again, hyper-aware of his gaze following my every movement. So flexible. Wonder if he realizes how distracting he is. Focus on the choreography, not on. Better, he said aloud, but his thoughts trailed off into something I couldn't quite catch. It was past 11 p.m. The practice studio was supposed to close at 10, but Jake had somehow gotten us extended access. We were alone in the building, just the two of us and the mirror, and the music playing on repeat. Let's try the final sequence, I suggested, desperate for a distraction from my own racing thoughts. The one where I catch you, he finished, standing. All right, from the top. The final sequence was the most intimate part of the routine. It required me to fall backward, trusting completely that Jake would catch me. Then he'd pull me up, we'd spin together, and end with my back pressed against his chest, his arms wrapped around me. We practiced it a dozen times already. It should have felt routine by now. It didn't. The music swelled. I moved through the steps, building toward the climax, and then I fell. Jake caught me perfectly, hands secure, supporting my weight. He pulled me up and we spun, and suddenly I was exactly where the choreography demanded, enclosed in his arms, his heartbeat thundering against my back, his breath warm on my neck. We were supposed to hold this position for 5 counts, then separate. We stayed for 10, 15, 20. Neither of us moved. Don't want to let go, should let go, but he fits so perfectly right here, could stay like this forever? Jake. I breathed, and felt him tense behind me. The music stopped, he said quietly. I know. We should take a break. Yeah. But still, neither of us moved. I could feel every point of contact between us, his arms around my waist, his chest against my back, his chin nearly resting on my shoulder. My heart was beating so hard I was sure he could feel it. Alex. His voice was rough, lower than usual. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why did you want to learn this style of dance? The question surprised me. I relaxed slightly in his hold, thinking back, because it made me feel free, like I could be myself without apologizing for it. Everyone said it was too feminine, that I should choose something else. But when I dance, I don't care about that. I'm just me. His arms tightened fractionally around me. You should never apologize for being yourself. Something in his tone made me brave. I turned my head slightly, enough to see his profile. Why did you agree to be my partner? Really? For a long moment, he didn't answer. Then, because watching you dance, it's like seeing someone completely, unapologetically alive. And I wanted to be part of that, even if just for a little while. My breath caught. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed loudly, shattering the moment. Jake released me, stepping back to check it. My father, he said, frowning at the screen. I need to take this. He stepped out into the hallway, and I collapsed onto the floor, legs shaky. What just happened? Was Jake, did he? Through the crack in the door, I could hear him talking in a low, tense voice. I already told you I have commitments this week. No, I can't reschedule. It's important to me. Because it is. I'd never heard him sound so adamant about anything. Can't let father interfere, not this time, need to see this through, need to see him. The door opened, and Jake stepped back inside. His expression was carefully neutral, but I've learned to read the subtle signs, the tension in his jaw, the way his fingers curled into loose fists. Everything okay? I asked. Fine. Where were we? Jake. Let's run the whole routine one more time. From the beginning. I wanted to push, to ask what the phone call was about, why he looked so troubled. But something in his expression warned me off. So instead, I nodded and took my starting position. As the music began again, I caught his reflection in the mirror. He was watching me with an intensity that made my skin tingle, his expression unguarded for just a moment. Worth it, whatever happens with father. This is worth it. The day before the performance, everything fell apart. I was in my last class when Emma burst through the door, panic written across her face. She whispered frantically to the professor, who frowned but nodded, then gestured for me to come outside. What's wrong? I asked, already dreading the answer. It's Jake, she said breathlessly. His family, there's some emergency with his father's company. Mike said he left campus this morning and no one knows when he'll be back. The world tilted. What? But the performance is tomorrow. I know. I tried calling him, but his phone's going straight to voicemail. Mike said his father specifically ordered him back, something about an urgent meeting with investors. Emma grabbed my hands, her face stricken. Alex, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I should never have pushed you to sign up, and now. It's not your fault, I said automatically, though my mind was reeling. Jake was gone. Just gone. Without even telling me. It's fine, I told myself. It's just a performance. It doesn't matter. But it did matter. It mattered so much it physically hurt. I went through the rest of the day on autopilot, nodding at appropriate moments, not hearing a word anyone said. By evening, I found myself at the practice studio, standing alone in front of the mirror. The routine we built together played in my mind. Jake's hands on my waist, guiding me. His voice, calm and steady, telling me I was doing well. The way he'd caught me, every single time, without fail. You should never apologize for being yourself. I started the music, moved through the opening sequence, muscle memory taking over. But when I reached the parts we'd choreographed for 2, I faltered. The empty space beside me felt cavernous. Had I imagined everything? The intensity in his eyes, the careful way he touched me, those thoughts I kept hearing? Maybe Jake had just been being kind, helping out a dorm mate. Maybe it had never meant anything more than that. I was so lost in my thoughts I didn't hear the door open. Your timing is off on the 3rd sequence. I spun around. Jake stood in the doorway, still in a formal suit, looking exhausted but composed. His tie was loosened, his normally perfect hair slightly disheveled. "Jake," I whispered, afraid he was a hallucination. "The spin on count 5, you're rushing it." He stepped inside, setting down an expensive-looking briefcase. "And you're still tensing up before the arabesque." I couldn't move, couldn't speak. He was here. He'd come back. "Why are you looking at me like that?" he asked, frowning slightly. "Emma said. She said your family needed you. That you'd left campus." I did. I went to the meeting, told my father exactly what I thought of his timing, and caught the last train back. He shrugged out of his suit jacket, draping it over a chair. "We have a performance tomorrow. Where else would I be?" Something inside me cracked. "You came back," I said stupidly. Obviously. He was rolling up his sleeves now, revealing strong forearms. "Did you think I'd leave you to perform alone?" I thought maybe it didn't matter that much to you." Jake's hands stilled. He looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw something fierce flash across his features. "Didn't matter?" He crossed the room in 3 long strides, stopping directly in front of me. "Alex, do you have any idea what I told my father today?" I told him his investors could wait. I told him this, you were more important. My heart stopped. Me? Can't keep doing this. Can't keep pretending he needs to know. "The performance," Jake amended, but his eyes said something else entirely. "We've worked too hard to give up now. So let's practice. We have one night to make sure everything's perfect." He was deflecting, and we both knew it. But I was too relieved, too overwhelmed to push. "Okay. From the top. From the top." We practiced until 3 in the morning. Jake was even more meticulous than usual, making me repeat sections until every movement was flawless. But there was something different in the way he held me during the partner sequences, something almost desperate, like he was trying to memorize the feeling. "That's enough," he finally said, catching me as I stumbled from exhaustion. "You need rest. Big day tomorrow." I nodded, too tired to argue. We gathered our things in comfortable silence, and Jake walked me back to the dorm. At the door, I turned to him. "Thank you," I said softly, "for coming back." His expression softened. "Alex." "Yes." For a moment I thought he might say it, whatever it was that hung unspoken between us. But he just shook his head slightly. "Get some sleep. I'll see you tomorrow." He turned to leave, but something made me brave. Maybe it was exhaustion lowering my inhibitions, or maybe I just couldn't take the uncertainty anymore. "Jake, wait." He paused, looking back. "Can I ask you something? And will you answer honestly?" "Always." I took a breath. "Why did you really come back tonight?" His dark eyes held mine for a long moment. Then, quietly, "Because the thought of you dancing alone, thinking I'd abandoned you, was unbearable." Before I could respond, he was gone, disappearing down the hallway, leaving me standing there with my heart in my throat. Tomorrow, I thought. Tomorrow, after the performance, I'll tell him. About the mind reading, about everything. I had no idea that tomorrow would change everything in ways I never imagined. The auditorium was packed. I stood backstage, hands trembling as I adjusted my costume, flowing silk in deep blue that shimmered under the lights, accented with silver embroidery. The waist belt gleamed, cinched perfectly. I barely recognized myself in the mirror. 5 minutes, someone called. My stomach churned. Where was Jake? I hadn't seen him since we'd arrived separately, and now, looking for me? I turned and froze. Jake wore all black, fitted pants and a silk shirt that somehow made him look both elegant and dangerous. His hair was styled back, revealing the sharp lines of his face. He looked like he'd stepped out of a different world entirely. "You." I couldn't finish the sentence. "Beautiful, he's so beautiful, how am I supposed to focus?" "You look good," Jake said, his voice carefully even. But his eyes told a different story as they traced over me, lingering on the waist belt, the exposed collarbones, the way the silk caught the light. "So do you." I managed. "Alex." He stepped closer, and suddenly the cramped backstage area felt even smaller. "Before we go out there, I need to tell you something." My heart hammered. "What?" Duo number 7. You're up next." The stage manager's urgent whisper shattered the moment. Jake's jaw tightened in frustration, but he just nodded and took my hand. "Later," he promised. "After. We need to talk." We moved into position in the wings. I could see the edge of the stage, the crowd beyond, the blinding lights. Terror gripped me. "Hey." Jake's hand found mine in the darkness, squeezing gently, just like practice. Except this time, don't hold back. Dance like no one's watching. Everyone's watching, I whispered. Then dance like only I'm watching. His thumb traced circles on my palm. Dance for me. The music started. My cue. I stepped into the light. The world fell away. There was only the music, the movement, the story we were telling with our bodies. I spun, leaped, extended, exactly as we'd practiced. But this time, something was different. This time, I wasn't just executing choreography, I was feeling it. Jake entered on his cue, and the energy shifted. The audience gasped as he moved, all controlled power and fluid grace. He downplayed his skill during practice, but now I realized, Jake was incredible. We came together for the first contact sequence. His hands on my waist, exactly where they belonged. We moved as one, spinning, separating, coming back together. Every lift, every catch, perfectly timed. Perfect, he's perfect, everyone can see it, everyone knows. The routine built toward the climax. My solo section, showing off the flexibility and technical skill. I could feel the crowd's attention like a physical thing. But I only saw Jake, standing in the shadows at the edge of the stage, watching me with an intensity that made my skin burn. The music swelled. Final sequence. I ran toward him, leap, and he caught me, spinning us both. The world blurred. And then I was falling backward, surrendering completely to gravity, to trust, to him. Jake caught me. Always caught me. He pulled me up, and we were chest to chest, breathing hard, the ending position. His arms wrapped around me from behind, holding me close. We were supposed to hold for 5 counts, and then separate for the final bow. We held for 5. Can't, not yet, just a moment longer? 6, 7, 8. The music ended. The stage lights blazed. The crowd erupted. And Jake turned me in his arms, right there on stage in front of everyone, and whispered against my ear. I lied earlier. I didn't come back just for the performance. I came back for you. The world stopped. What? I breathed. Later. We need to bow. Somehow, I managed to turn and bow to the thunderous applause. The lights were too bright. I couldn't see individual faces, but I could hear them, whistling, cheering, shouting for an encore. We bowed 3 times before the stage manager finally ushered us off. Backstage was chaos. People congratulating us, Emma crying happy tears, the other performers wanting to know where we'd trained. Through it all, Jake's hand never left mine. We need to talk, he said quietly, and pulled me toward a side exit. We emerged into the cool night air behind the auditorium, blessedly alone. The muffled sounds of the ongoing show filtered through the walls. Jake turned to face me, still holding my hand. Jake, I started, but he shook his head. Let me say this before I lose my nerve. He took a breath. These past 2 weeks, practicing with you, being near you, I haven't been able to think about anything else. At first, I told myself it was just about the performance. But tonight, watching you dance, holding you, his grip on my hand tightened. Alex, I can't hear your thoughts, I blurted out. Jake blinked. What? Oh God. Why did I say that? But now that I'd started, I couldn't stop. The words tumbled out in a rush. I can't hear your thoughts. At least, I think they're your thoughts. It started that first day in the dorm, when you called me beautiful. Wait, you didn't say that out loud, but I heard it. And then during practice, all those things about my waist and not wanting to let go, and tonight when you said I was perfect. You heard all of that? Jake's eyes were wide. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I don't know how or why, but I hear you. Sometimes. When we're close. I was babbling now, terrified. I know it's insane, and you probably think I'm crazy, and I understand if you want to. He kissed me. One moment I was rambling, the next his mouth was on mine, warm and soft and real. His hand cupped my face, thumb brushing my cheek, and I melted into him, fingers clutching his shirt. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jake rested his forehead against mine. You really heard all of it, he murmured. Most of it, I think. The important parts. Then you know. His voice was rough. You know how I feel. Tell me anyway, I whispered, out loud. So there's no doubt. Jake pulled back just enough to look into my eyes. I'm falling for you, Alex. Have been since that first night you asked me to help. Maybe even before. And tonight, dancing with you, feeling you trust me to catch you. His voice cracked slightly. I never want to let go. Tears pricked my eyes. I don't want you to. Good. He kissed me again, softer this time. Because I'm yours now. If you'll have me. Yes. I breathed against his lips. Yes, yes, yes. We stood there, wrapped in each other, until someone shouted that we'd won first place and needed to come accept the award. Jake laced his fingers through mine as we walked back inside, both of us grinning like idiots. Later, after the ceremony, after the celebration, after we'd finally escaped back to the dorm, I asked him, "So, what do we do now?" Jake smiled, a real, unguarded smile that transformed his entire face. Now? We figure it out together. The mind-reading thing, my family business, your dancing career. All of it. Together, I repeated, testing the word. It felt right. Together, he confirmed, and pulled me close, starting with figuring out if you can still hear my thoughts. I focused, and sure enough, love him, going to love him so much, my beautiful dancer, mine. Oh, I definitely still can, I said, grinning. Jake groaned. That's going to take some getting used to. You'll manage. I kissed his jaw. Besides, now I'll always know when you're lying to me. I never want to lie to you. Never, only truth from now on. He deserves everything. I know, I said softly. I can hear that too. And somehow, impossibly, everything was perfect.